It turns out the Rockies can beat bad teams too.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, Rockies fans, and welcome to Locked On Rockies. This is the podcast where we talk about the Colorado Rockies all season long. There's no off season, and we're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Normally, the show is hosted by our good friend Paul Holden, but today I'm filling in once again. My name is Paul Francis Sullivan. If you can tell by my lower third there, you can call me Sully. I am an Emmy-nominated television producer who has been a baseball podcaster and a baseball expert for, I don't know, I've been a baseball expert as long as I can remember. I've been a baseball podcaster for over a decade now, and some of you may have seen some of my work on HBO Sports' Curse of the Bambino, Nesson's Spaceman Baseball Odyssey. I was host of the Sully Baseball daily podcast before joining the Locked On Podcast Network. And this is my fifth full season here, and I'm filling in as Paul is on assignment. Actually, if you're looking for your Paul Holden fix, just wait, because today I have a segment with him. Our third segment today is going to be a little bit of my chat with Paul, where we talk about some all things Rockies. So if you're saying, where's my Paul Holden? Just relax. He's going to be in the final segment. And but we're going to be talking some big things happening on today. The Rockies made quick work of the Washington Nationals, but also the first piece in what could be a flurry of moves involving the Rockies bullpen began today, and not a minute too soon, because, Rockies have what looks like maybe some organizational issues going on with the health of their own players. So we're going to talk about that in the second segment. But first, I had been talking about the other day how the Rocks have been playing teams like, like the Yankees recently, or they just finished the series with Miami Marlins. Have been playing a lot of contending teams and holding their own with them. Thank you very much. They've been pretty good so far in the few weeks after the All-Star game. The Rocks have won 6 out of their last 4 games, and they've shown that they aren't going to be pushovers. But I was wondering, because they have been playing a bunch of good teams, and I know this sounds counterintuitive, but I thought maybe if they played a bad team or two, maybe they played down to their level. Well, as it turns out, they played a team that they were basically tied going into this, or almost tied going into this game. They were tied in the loss column. Or no, wait, I was wrong. Well, there's only one game separates them. They're pretty close. The Nats and the Rockies are pretty freaking close right now, and it was a very strange game because the first few innings looked like it was going to be another tight pitcher's duel like we had on Sunday night or Sunday afternoon in the game between Miami and the Rocks, when Luzardo basically struck out everyone at will. And it looks like Call, who's the center fielder of the Washington Nationals, Alex Call was made some tremendous defensive plays, including getting an outfield double play in an early rally for the Rockies. But then the Grichuk double into the outfield, which Call bobbled and allowed for the next runner to score. Yeah, there was a runner thrown at the plate, but it put the Nats on their heels a little bit. And the final score of the game was 10-6. It didn't feel like a 10-6 game, because it was 2-0 going into the 6th inning. So it looked like it was going to be a pitcher's duel. And then, surprise, neither the Nationals nor the Rockies particularly pitched well towards the end. But it was Trejo put on, Jones hit another home run. By the way, I've only been, since agreeing to fill in as the host of Locked On Rockies, I will admit to you, dear listeners, that I had not paid that close attention to the Rockies coming in to decide to help Paul out in this gig. And it seems that every single game that I've watched, um, I think Jones or Doyle have had a home run every single game that I've watched them play. So when I'm watching them play, it's like Ortiz and Ramirez going back to back, or Bonds or Bonilla if you go back a little further. And so I look up and say, how did Jones only have 9 home runs? He homered again today, but it was Trejo who had the big bomb home run in that weird game against the Yankees right after the All-Star break. But Alan Trejo, who you know has played pretty well recently, but he went 4 for 5. That's pretty good. He got a double. He drove in a run. He scored a pair more. He got 4 freaking hits. That's good for your number 7 hitter. That's when you know that the lineup is going to flip over. In fact, Castro got a pair of hits too. Tovar got 3 hits. Grichuk got 3 hits, including the double. Jones drove in a pair of runs. It was a good offensive day for the Rockies. And even though their bullpen didn't pitch particularly well, hand pitched well, and it was a bit of a bullpen game. Bird pitched the first 3 shutout innings, and Carl Kaufman can finally look his family in the eye and say, "Yes, I have a major league victory to my name." So congratulations to Carl Kaufman, got his first ever major league win, and this in his debut season. It's feel good for him. Feel good for him. 25-year-old kid pitching for I can call him kid because I'm 51. Anytime you're going to see anyone having any success as a pitcher for the Colorado Rockies, well, there you go. There you go. So they got the win. They got the win. So they're continuing. It would have been nice if they had gotten the final win against Miami, but if you're trying to win series and you're trying to tiptoe your way back, and and just keep winning 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4, whatever it is for the Rocks, and to sort of get start to climb back to the point where when people see they're coming to games, and when they see that the Rockies are coming to town, it's not automatic wins. I think people always look at trips to Coors as, oh boy, this is kind of like they're on the top of the ski jump. But if the Rockies can show that they're not going to be pushed around even when they come into another spot, that's all you can ask for. Now, tomorrow on Tuesday's game, you're probably hearing this on Tuesday. On Tuesday's game, Gomber is going to be pitching for the Rocks. Williams is pitching for the Nats, and then they play a day game. I'm recording this from LA County. It's going to be 9 a.m. here in LA. It's going to be 10 a.m. where you're probably listening in Denver. But and then they're off on Thursday. So splitting the next 2 games would really go a long way for a positive outlook for this Rockies team. Winning one of the next 2 games against one of the worst teams in baseball, they can continue to sort of strut around like a peacock, and thank God this game's not on Peacock. But to sort of look and say, "Oh, look at us. We're not a pushover team. We're winning some games." So good for the Rockies, good for Trejo, good for I just said his name. Good for Kaufman for getting his first major league win. And hey, I just got to say, good for. I just had his name here. Forgive me. Let me get that screen back up here. I have the whole Minority Report thing going on here as I'm flipping around here. But we got the trivia question. A couple of you got it right. Scott Campbell got it right that Matt Holliday was the only All-Star representative for the Rockies in the 2007 season. So when they went to the World Series in 2007, their lone All-Star was Matt Holliday. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the trade that happened and maybe the sense of urgency that could be coming around from that. Hey, let's talk a little bit about Gametime. Hey, full disclosure, I'm recording this from the San Francisco Bay Area, but I grew up following the Boston Red Sox, and I am going to have a fun time going to see the Red Sox play the San Francisco Giants at Oracle Park. And I'm going to have a fun time and not a stressful time because I got my tickets through Game Time. Game Time is the single best place on the internet and with your apps to buy yourself a ticket. You know what? The process of going to a game should be fun. The only tension you should feel is watching your team play. Game Time takes away the tension of the whole ticket buying experience. Game Time is the fast and easiest way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you with great deals on last minute tickets and the best price guarantee. You can stop stressing over the tickets and get hyped for the fun that you're going to have. And you know what? You don't have to worry about planning months in advance. I got my tickets fast for this weekend as Game Time has tickets right up to the day of the event. And you get great flash deals on tickets for football, baseball, hockey, all the other stuff you can go to. And they have the Game Time guarantee. You're always going to get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you for 110% of the difference. You can get the images of the seat before you buy it. That was critical for me because I want to make sure I was at a good place checking out the Sox and the Giants. You can buy tickets in a matter of seconds. Boop, boop, 2 taps. You're set. They're sent directly to your phone, so you don't have to dig through your emails. So snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price. You know what that is? That's a guarantee. All right, we're here. I was doing prep for this show, and I got a message from our dear friend Paul, who you will hear in the final segment of today's show, and he sent me this. Oops, I just closed out my thing. I should be using my Game Time app for this, but he sent me a message regarding the Rocks bullpen, and what he said was this. This was actually a tweet he sent me from Patrick Saunders. So the bullpen has been a shining light. It has a major league best 1.68 earned run average over the last 12 games since the 4th of July, holding opposing hitters to a 188 average and a major league low 3 extra base hits allowed. Well, a lot of that was spoiled today because the Rockies bullpen was pretty lousy. But you know what? If you're going to have a lousy day, have it be one where they built up a big lead and won the game. But the point being was that the strength going into this game and over the next, bunch of series has been a strong bullpen. But of course, we know the Rocks are not really going anywhere anytime soon this year. So let the trades begin. And the first trade came in today. It was the Rockies made a deal with the Atlanta Braves for Pierce Johnson. And Johnson, he's a 1-year deal. He was a solid pitcher for San Diego. He came over to the Rockies for this year, and he's had his ups and downs. He's been better recently, and according to the article that by Derek McDonald on MLB Trade Rumors was pointing out that he has had a 3.60 ERA in his last 15 innings, and the Atlanta Braves, who obviously have huge expectations for this year. They're probably the best team in baseball, or certainly close to it, and have real solid thoughts about winning a World Series title. They need when they won the World Series title just 2 years ago. A big part of their arsenal was they just had a lot of weapons in their bullpen. And so if they took the lead in the 4th, 5th, or 6th innings, they had the arms to just plow through those last innings and get to it. Just get on with it. And you know what? That seems to be the plan going for this year. So they they acquired Pierce Johnson. He's probably going to fit. They don't need him to be the big closer. He's just another solid arm in their arsenal. And for Pierce, he's probably going to enjoy getting out of Coors. They got back the Rockies got back two young pitchers for him, Victor Vodnik and Tanner Gordon. Victor Vodnik is considered to be one of the top 10 prospects in the Braves organization. I believe that's right. He's certainly top 15 prospect. I've read conflicting reports, but either way, he's a 23-year-old pitcher, currently pitching very well in Double A Mississippi. He is a reliever. He is a relief pitcher. Has struck out 56 batters in 40 and 2/3 innings in Double A. Last year he did play a little bit. He played 24 games with AAA Gwinnett for coming back down this year for Mississippi. So he is going to be now in the Rockies farm system and is automatically found himself amongst I think he's automatically listed in the top 10 Rockies prospects right now. So interesting deal that they were able to get him. They also got in another pitcher by the name of Tanner Gordon. I know very little. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to pretend that I'm the president of the Tanner Gordon fan club. Gordon also has pitched for Mississippi this year in Double A. I believe I'm over, and he's been promoted to Gwinnett. He has not pitched particularly well for AAA. He's 25 years old. He's probably more of a fringe candidate. But the deal did bring it. So, they got another pitcher for him. But Victor Vodnik was the key in this deal, that he is someone who looks like he has the potential to be a major league relief pitcher. So they trade a major league relief pitcher for someone who could be a one. And Lucas Luetge was designated for assignment from the Braves. Now, that's a nice piece of news, knowing that the odds of Pierce Johnson coming back to the Rockies next year were close to nothing. So the fact that they were able to get two young pitchers in exchange for someone who is probably has no chance of being on the team next year, you take that. You take that 9 times out of 10. The outside chance you think you could sign for a long-term deal, probably couldn't. They got some young pitchers. That's kind of what they need. But boy, that may really be what the Rockies need when you start getting some of the nasty rumors and reports. Thomas Harding, by the way, who was a guest on a previous episode of Locked On MLB, who has forgotten more about the Rockies than anyone I've ever known. He was writing about the fact that Jackson Cox, Jordy Vargas, and Gabriel Hughes are 3 pitching prospects they have in their system, and they're all going to be going through Tommy John surgery. And those were all amongst the top young prospects in the Rockies organization right now. And so, the trading of Pierce, they needed to replenish some of their young pitchers they had in their system. Beyond the fact that God, I just blanked out his name. Vodnik is considered to be a quality young pitcher. They need arms. They need someone to loosen up their old soup bone. They may give Kevin Ritz a call again before this is all said and done. Gabriel Hughes, Jackson Cox, and Jordy Vargas were 3 young pitchers in their pipeline that they had visions of Kyle Freeland into the rotation. But here's the deal. When you start seeing pitcher after pitcher after pitcher going under the Tommy John knife, you kind of sometimes have to raise your hand and say, what in the name of Mike Hampton is going on around here? Is there something going on that's systematic? Is there something going on that is bad care of the pitchers? Why are some of these pitchers getting the Tommy John? They can't all be terrified about the prospect of pitching in Coors Field. So look at, if I were running the Rockies, and I'm not, I want to dispel that rumor right away. I really want to take a good long look and say, why is it that so many of our young pitchers are going through this? I know lots of young pitchers wind up getting Tommy John surgery. It's not the rare thing it used to be, but it shouldn't be an epidemic because nothing is more critical for the Colorado Rockies to put together an eventual to go to the World Series for the first time since '07. If they want to do that, they have to build their rotation. They have to build their pitching staff from within. No agent worth their salt would ever accept an assignment to send their pitchers to play in Coors Field. They've got to develop young pitchers, and they have to do it by quantity. They have to have it be like those scenes in. I don't know if you saw the trailer of the new Napoleon film. Looks pretty amazing. But they show the rows and rows and rows of soldiers, and one falls, and another one comes takes their place. That's what the Rockies pitching staff has to be like if they have any realistic desire to ever get back to the World Series. And the only way they can get that pitching staff together is through their. I just hit my mic. That's how into this I am. Is through their system. And if the pitchers come to their system, keep having to rip a tendon from one arm to throw it to the other, that's a bad sign. That's a bad sign. And if there's something going on with the conditioning or how they're treating the arms or whatever, then the Rocks have to clean house too, because they can't have this be a systematic problem with the team. It's too critical. And the fact that they're probably going to trade Bard, they're probably going to trade one or two other pitchers and try to get more, flood their system with young pitchers. That's all fine and good. When I had Paul on, we talked a lot about the fact that they've been just drafting young college pitchers because that's their strategy. And of course, I get that, but you can't have all the young pitchers going through the Tommy John surgery. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but the fact of the matter is they've got to figure out what's going on. And I'll tell you, after this commercial break, our good friend Paul Holden is going to be back and doing a segment. Here we go. Here's our good friend Paul. All right, this is part of a Locked On MLB, Locked On Rockies crossover for people listening to Locked On MLB. There's Paul Holden of Locked On Rockies. And for the people listening to Locked On Rockies, there's your buddy Paul Holden because he's away this week, but he's showing up again here, suspiciously wearing the same clothes he wore last Thursday. I don't know much about that. Maybe where he's at, he can't change his clothes that much. Hey, thanks for jumping on the show again.
Of course. Happy to be. I just love the Locked On, and I had such a great time at the All-Star game. I just had to fully embrace it,
I hear you. Yeah, that was, by the way, I got to say this. I know I said this on a previous episode of the show of Locked On MLB. Wear your uniforms. Don't wear the stupid National League uniforms because most of the time, like, who the hell is up? I don't know. I can't tell by their uniform. That's part of the fun. But also, the best moment for the Rockies of the year was their player being the hero of the All-Star game, and there's a little CR on his arm or something like that.
Yeah, really hard to see because they do the National League logo too. Yeah. So there's I have heard you say it. I think it was a cool idea in theory, but it was way more fun to see all of the players in their jerseys out there. And and then because we got to get a "Let's Go Rockies" chant going on ESPN, and it would have been really cool to see him, in the full thing. It was, I tell you though, a fun night. I bought tickets last second, and me and a small group of Rockies fans were the most excited people in that ballpark for a place that had a chant of "Come to Seattle" to Shohei Ohtani and Julio Rodriguez come up with the game on the line. And I'm just glad I got to call my shot. I said Elias Diaz was going to win the game, and what does he do? He wins the game.
Did exactly that. Hey, let's just talk a little bit. Trade deadline is right around the corner. Now, you and I talked briefly on the Locked On Rockies show about how there's probably going to be a flurry of relief pitchers on the team who are going to have value. Once you add, bullpen depth to your roster coming into a postseason situation, that's that helps every team playing in October. It doesn't have to be just Rocktober, but trademark Locked On MLB. But there are other players who are on the team that are currently hurt that in a weird way, I think may help the Rockies in the long run. Now, let me tell you what I'm saying. Marquez obviously has the Tommy John surgery. Sensatella is probably having Tommy John surgery.
Yeah, he will.
He
He's
will.
confirmed. Yeah, confirmed going to
Okay.
have Tommy John.
Freeland is on the IL and can't be traded. Okay. Um, Having the possibility of maybe having those three back, you know, and maybe recovered from Tommy John and inserting them into a team where, their arms might be valuable, I think may in the long run help the ball club
Yeah.
because that's your core of pitching. And if they were healthy, the temptation to trade them away for parts would be there and maybe the responsible thing to do. But I still believe that there's talent in that arms, and I think there is a potential for the Rockies to make a run at something over the next few years. Am I out of my mind?
No, I don't think it's that crazy. I think especially highlighted there is Herman Marquez and Kyle Freeland. Antonio Senzatella, back-to-back bad injuries,
Mm,
because as soon as he comes back from a long IL stint, he goes with Tommy John. So that's the big question with him. And it just Senza just doesn't strike anybody out. Freeland is there. Freeland and Senza got the same pitch to contact type of mentalities, but I think Freeland's ceiling is still a little bit higher. I think Herman Marquez is absolutely someone that the Rockies would love to keep around. Now, $16 million player option and the offseason coming up. Are the Rockies going to pick that up coming off of the Tommy John? Does Herman want to move on from the Rockies here as free agency could be an option for him? I don't know, but I think you nail it on the head there. The Rockies would be a much better team this year if they had Senza, Freeland, and Herman. They've had Freeland for most of the year. Freeland's stint is a recent one right before the All-Star break. Unfortunately, dislocating his shoulder while diving for a bunt in San Francisco. Those three would have a massive impact, just as Freeland's pitched in some games this year, and it's been through his career as well, where the Rockies just haven't backed him up. So those guys all would be in any rotation in baseball and would have impacts. And I think if the Rockies do hang on to those starters, they will be in a better situation because I'm hoping to see it. Now with Tommy John, that's one thing, but I believe Herman Marquez has been one of the most underrated pitchers in baseball for a while, especially during his All-Star campaign when he was an All-Star. I think he was one of the best pitchers in baseball for parts of that season. And they certainly would help the Rockies. It's just health and contracts. Those are going to be the question marks there. But, if for Herman, for example, he's so close to statistically becoming the Rockies' greatest pitcher ever. I really think the Rockies want to get something done and bring back Herman, and then maybe let him hit that milestone. And then you get to a trade deadline and he can go to get a contender and you can get some stuff back. But the biggest pieces for the Rockies in trades are probably going to come from the bullpen or maybe some of their veteran outfielders. It kind of depends.
Okay, now it's also, we're talking a little bit about, possibility hopes for the future. We were talking about the NL West and how hard that is. The Dodgers are a behemoth, and it's difficult because they're a great team now, and they have a huge, deep farm system. Okay, the Giants can have up and downs. We've seen the San Diego throw more money than Scrooge McDuck at their team, and as of this recording, they're sub 500. And the Diamondbacks look good right now, but there can be fluctuations. There is a scenario that the Giants have a slump year and the Padres collapse on the weight of their bloated payroll, that there may be an opportunity for the Rocks to sneak in. Every time the Rockies have made a run for the postseason, whether it was the Dante Bichette, Andres Galarraga, Larry Walker years, whether it was the great run at the end of 2007 and the wonderful run in 2009 that people underrate, and the back-to-back playoff appearances in 17 and 18, those were always everything coming together, but also some other teams underachieving as well.
Yeah.
That they took advantage of some teams that weren't playing to the level that we thought they should have. And there is a scenario that the Padres, the Diamondbacks, and the Giants underachieve. No one thought the Cardinals were going to do what they did this year. I mean, that can happen. And the best place the Rocks could be is to be filled with some good veterans, some good young players, and hopefully a few pitchers here or there, which brings me to their farm system and their top prospects. Tovar is on the team, Jones is on the team, and it seems to me a lot of their top prospects their ETA is a couple of years from now.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan Jorge is their top shortstop prospect. He's, I think, 12 years old. I can't remember how old he is, but he's very young. Amador is very, very young. Gabriel Hughes is very, very young. Everyone on this team who's a prospect on their way up is not expected to show up for a couple of years. And so,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're almost looking at maybe that's where we should be aiming to have everything come together at that moment.
Yeah, and I think that's what the Rockies have to look at heading to the trade deadline this year. The Rockies most likely will not the pieces aren't going to come together this year, most likely not going to come together next year. But there is going to be a possibility as Ezekiel Tovar and because the Rockies they have a good core of prospects that are away, but they have a lot of prospects that need to get playing time and are being blocked in some ways. Elaris Montero, the centerpiece of the Nolan Arenado trade, is still going up and down between the Rockies and Albuquerque because they haven't figured out his bat. But yet they're not giving Montero at bats every day because you got CJ Cron, you got Chris Bryant, you got these guys, and his defense was so bad at third base, you had to move Ryan McMahon over there. So there are young-ish guys, because the problem is the Rockies aren't necessarily a young team, even if they turn to their rookie level players or players without some inexperience. But absolutely, the Rockies have to have the mindset of how do we get back to winning 90 games? I think the Rockies need to be more focused on getting to a point where you win 90 games and are fighting for a wild card versus keeping up with the Dodgers, keeping up with these other teams. You just got to get back to a place where you're competitive against your division in every matchup. Not like it is right now where the Rockies and the Dodgers and the Giants match up and they just have the Rockies numbers. They just are. The series performance between these teams over the last couple of years has heavily favored those California teams outside of San Diego, because the Rockies have honestly, since the Matt Holliday slide, have been a thorn in the side of the San Diego Padres. And, they can still go back and forth with the Diamondbacks, but the Diamondbacks got young pitchers that the Rockies don't have. That's the biggest issue when you're looking for farm and future, because the Rockies got their next big shortstop. They have what they have themselves called the next Todd Helton and Michael Toglia playing first base. They have the big bat of Montero. They traded for Nolan Jones this offseason to bring him in and doing that. Brenton Doyle is a name you might not know because he's not really great on offense, but he's playing a really great defense.
I've seen him play the outfield.
Yes, which is massive, because that's huge for the Rockies to have in center field. And then you have Chris Bryant anchor it there. You got a couple of your veterans still placed there. The future does have to be that healthy mix for the Rockies of a couple of veterans that can contribute and young guys. It's just, when is that going to come? I don't know. But if I had to just take a guess, I'd say next time the Rockies are playing or are in a legit postseason conversation is not this year, not next year, but the year following.
And you take a look at their last draft. 4 of their first 5 picks were college pitchers.
Yep. College pitchers. That's the emphasis there.
Yeah, that's
college
what I'm saying.
Pitchers that hopefully will be pitching for them in 2 years.
Chase Dollander from Tennessee was the 9th pick overall. I'm really, really looking forward to Sean Sullivan, my cousin. He doesn't know it yet, but he's my cousin. Jack Mahoney, lots of Irish kids there. Look at that.
Yep.
Isaiah Coupet. I don't know. It sounds sounds like he's in the Bayou. But yeah, you go down with Kyle Karras. That has to be Eric Karras's kid, right?
Yeah, I think so.
He's UCLA. So you had Cole Carrig from San Diego State and Kyle Karras are 2 hitters they drafted, but almost everyone, their 6th pick, college pitcher. Their 7th pitch, college pitcher. The 10th pick, college pitcher. The 11th pick, college pitcher. 12th pick, college pitcher. Oh, no, high school pitcher. But, go up and down. They're basically saying, look, no one wants to sign with us, so we better just draft as many college pitchers as humanly possible and hope, again, aiming for about 2 years from now, if those arms start to develop, they learn how to either strike out batters or get them to hit him to the ground for a ground out, all of a sudden, who knows what you got.
Yeah, the
But I know what
Rockies
I got.
yeah.
I got it. A good segment here with Paul Holden of Locked On Rockies. And thanks for making a cameo here. Where can people see you?
You can find me at Paul Holden 33, but go follow the show at LO Rockies and subscribe to Locked On Rockies on YouTube. That's where you can get all your Rockies coverage. That's the best spot.
All right. Well, thanks, Paul Holden, for jumping on, having a quick cameo in your week off. And for everyone else, hey, I got a new trivia question, which is, and send it along to the Locked On Rockies feed, which is LO_Rockies on Twitter. You can follow me. Where's my lower third? Didn't I have a lower third? It's right there. Or you can send me the right there. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, provided we're still on Twitter. I guess they don't have the little bird emblem anymore. It's an X. That's beyond my pay grade. Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Here's a question. Who is the first Colorado Rocky to ever finish in the top 5 of the Cy Young voting? We talked about how hard it is to develop the pitching in Denver. Well, who is the first to finish in the top 5 of the Cy Young vote? So send that along to all the places I mentioned before. I know I'm going to be here on Wednesday. I know Ethan Smith of Locked On Pirates is going to host a show, and we're kind of figuring out who's going to host Friday. I have a fun show coming up where we're talking a little bit about the alternate history of Denver baseball, which one alternate and almost happened. Alternate history would have included Ricky Henderson coming to Denver, and another would have been Barry Bonds in his prime playing in Mile High Stadium. Sitting in for Paul Holden and talking about a Rocks victory, a Rocks trade, and some things are questionable in terms of how the pitchers are conditioned. This has been Locked On Rockies for the 25th day of July, 2023. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan, at least for the next couple of days, and you can call me Sully.